Ever get that feeling? Some companies just nail it, Especially with all the tech swirling around these days. Instructions make sense, the message is clear, it all just clicks.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, today's deep dive, that's exactly what we're looking at, that click. Why they're seemingly small things, they're actually a huge advantage. And it all comes down to something most folks don't even think about: technical writing.
It's true, though. How often do you see it? Companies spend a fortune on cutting edge, whatever, latest tech, but explaining it clearly. That's where they drop the ball. Technical
Oh.
writing, that's the key.
And that is what we're diving into today. We've got this article by Curt Robbins. He's a veteran technical writer, worked with the big dogs, FedEx, Microsoft, the list goes on. So this isn't just theory for him. He's seen it firsthand.
Oh, yeah, and right away, he makes this point. Good technical writing, it's not just about avoiding confusion, though that's a plus. It's about getting an edge on the competition, a real one.
So break that down for us. He uses this phrase, competitive edge. What's he really saying?
All right, picture this. You're a software company, right? You nail your onboarding materials. Not flashy, but clear. New hires, they're up to speed fast.
Okay, makes sense so far.
That means they're launching products faster, responding to customers quicker. All that adds up. That's your edge right there.
See, I hadn't even thought about it like that. How much faster things can move when the writing is clear. Robbins, he talks about bridging the gap between the tech geniuses and, well, the rest of us. What's so important about that translation role?
Imagine you've got this brilliant engineer, designs a game-changing product, but explain it. They're speaking another language. Jargon overload. That's where your technical writer steps in. Takes that complexity, makes it understandable, usable for everyday people.
Right, like, oh, now I can assemble this bookshelf without losing my mind, or figure out new software at work without wanting to chuck my computer out the window. But what if that bridge isn't there? What happens when the technical writing is bad? Seriously, what are the consequences?
Oh, it can get ugly fast. Customers wrestling with a product they just can't figure out. Support calls, returns, bad reviews, the whole 9 yards. You can kiss that brand reputation goodbye.
Yikes, that's rough.
And it's not just customers. Imagine employees struggling with unclear instructions. Mistakes happen. Delays. Productivity plummets.
Yeah, that's definitely not a recipe for success. Robbins also talks about how critical technical writing is within a company. It's not all user manuals and outward-facing stuff.
Absolutely. Internal communication is huge.
Yeah.
Think about it. All those processes, guidelines, they need documentation, right? When everyone's on the same page, things run smoother. Fewer errors, less confusion. It's a no-brainer.
He makes a point about how consistent documentation, it actually leads to consistent action, consistent execution, like a domino effect. Have you seen that play out, where clear writing actually led to a more efficient team, project, whatever?
Oh, totally. I work with this company. They had a nightmare of an onboarding process, just all over the place, conflicting info, you name it. We implemented a standardized system, clear, concise, the works. The difference was night and day. New hires were contributing so much faster. Everyone was organized.
That's a perfect example right there. Something as simple as clear writing having this big impact. But it's not always so simple, is it? Robbins, he touches on the legal side of things, the compliance aspects, especially in fields like healthcare, finance. What makes those different?
In those worlds, precision isn't optional. It's the law. A misplaced comma, a phrase that's open to interpretation, that can have serious legal consequences. So you need technical writers who understand that, who can craft documents that meet those standards.
Makes sense. Even if our listeners aren't in those super high-stakes fields, it shows you how much clarity matters. In any job, really. The right words, they carry a lot of weight.
Absolutely. A product launch, a marketing campaign, even a company's entire reputation can hinge on getting the words right.
A misplaced comma, who knew? Speaking of avoiding those communication disasters, though, Robbins mentions this evergreen strategy. What's that all about?
Game changer,
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, imagine a garden, always in bloom, no matter what. That's the idea behind evergreen content. It's documentation, right? But it stays relevant, up to date. It doesn't go obsolete every time your software updates or something changes.
So you're not constantly scrambling to update things. You build it to last, to adapt. How do you even do that? Sounds almost too good to be true.
Mindset shift, for sure. You got to move away from that write it and forget it mentality. It's about building a system, something that's sustainable.
What does that look like, practically speaking?
Think of it like a Wikipedia page. You're constantly refining, updating. It never really ends. Involves careful planning, breaking info down into reusable parts.
Modular writing, right? We've talked about that before.
Exactly. And you're committed to reviewing, updating, staying on top of it.
So you're not just reacting to changes, you're ahead of them.
Exactly. Saves so much time and hassle in the long run,
Yeah.
not starting from scratch every time something changes. And everyone always has the latest info.
This makes me think about those companies, the ones with the amazing user manuals, like the ones you actually enjoy reading.
Oh, for sure.
Are they onto something with this evergreen approach?
Absolutely. They get it. Technical writing, it's not just about conveying information. It's a chance to connect with your audience. When you invest in that, in creating great evergreen content, it shows, builds trust, makes your brand stronger, all through something as simple as a user manual.
It's like that attention to detail, it reflects on everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just external either. Evergreen content internally.
Yeah.
Huge. Imagine onboarding new hires, right?
Right.
And they've got this knowledge base. It's clear, easy to use, always current.
No more digging through emails from 2019 trying to find the right info.
Exactly. Empowers them right away. Makes the whole onboarding process smoother, more efficient for everyone.
Sounds like Robbins is onto something here with this whole evergreen strategy.
Oh, he is. It's about playing the long game.
Yeah.
Thinking long term when it comes to how you communicate. Ultimately, that investment, that clear, concise, evergreen content, it pays off.
And speaking of investments, he ends by saying he's open to helping companies develop this strategy. He's putting his money where his mouth is.
He's seen it work. Transformative for any size organization. And it's not just about writing, it's about creating a culture of clarity, of good communication.
And let's be honest, who couldn't use a bit more of that? But how do we make that happen? Where do we even begin?
Recognize that it's a skill. Technical writing. It's a craft. You need the knowledge, the experience. You have to value clear communication as much as anything else. Product development, marketing, it's all connected.
It's funny how we think about things in boxes, right? You mentioned technical writing as brand expression, and I'll be honest, I never would have put those two together.
It's true, though. We think of branding, that's marketing's job.
Right.
But every single interaction someone has with a company, that's part of the brand.
So you could have this super slick ad campaign, but then the user manual is a disaster, and it kind of ruins the whole thing.
Exactly. It can all fall apart. But when a company sweats the details, even something as boring as a manual, it tells the customer something. It says they care.
That's the thing. It's like that extra mile shows they're paying attention, and it makes you trust them more.
And it doesn't have to be rocket science. Sometimes it's just use plain language, structure the info in a way that makes sense, you know. Maybe even, dare I say, inject some personality.
I am thinking back to some of the best product manuals I've seen. Makes me want to dig them out and see how they did it.
I challenge you to.
Yeah.
You'll notice the really good ones, they don't just tell you what to do. They make you feel like you've got this, like someone's got your back.
Oh, that's so true. It's like having a guide instead of just a list of instructions.
Exactly. And that feeling, that confidence
Yeah.
reflects right back on the brand.
This whole deep dive has been eye-opening, honestly. We went from technical writing, like this dry niche thing, to it being absolutely essential for any business that wants to succeed.
Couldn't have said it better myself. The power of clear communication, right? It can't be overstated.
Absolutely cannot. So, as we wrap up here, want to leave everyone with something to ponder. Think about a time you encountered some technical writing that just really worked. A manual, a help article, even just a well-written email. What made it stand out? How to make you feel?
Yeah. And how could you apply those same principles? Clarity, keeping it concise, even that touch of personality to your own work, your life even. We're all technical writers in a way, when you think about it.
That's a great point to end on. We're always communicating, right?
Yeah.
Being mindful of how we do it, that's what makes all the difference. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. Until next time, happy writing, everyone.